And we are live. What's good, Charles? Your man, DL Saint. Welcome to the Downrange Podcast. Bam, there it is right there. Y'all know what it is, Downrange, man. It's time for us to talk a little bit about politics. Um, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on, man. I want to thank y'all up front, man, for rocking out with me and hanging out with me and just kind of helping us grow. You know, we're getting closer and closer to 1,500 subs, man. That means a lot to me. You know, a lot of folks don't you know, I guess they don't appreciate that, and I do. I appreciate every subscriber, I appreciate every comment, I appreciate everyone who jumps on the panels, all that, bro. I really do, man. This is fun. It keeps me, like I said a long time ago, man. It's to me, it's actually like a form of therapy. I get to come up here, I get to talk to my folks, you know what I mean, in the YouTube world. I get to build towards something, to set goals and accomplish those goals, set objectives, accomplish those objectives. And I ain't gonna lie to you, man, it really helps me out. It really does. And then now we're going into the summer where I can actually get out there. I can climb out the trench and go run out into no man's land and really try to get some things going. And with all the stuff that I have going on my end, behind the scenes was, just dealing with life. This is really something I look forward to, like just getting up here and talking about stuff, man. And a lot of the things that we talk about here, again, like I really want to know theme, and then we do this downrange podcast when we talk politics. This is stuff that I'm seeing because I'm afforded the time to actually look. There are so many people out there that, most Americans are so caught up in their world, as they should be. They're worried about taking care of the daily struggle, like making sure you got food, making sure you got enough money, which most cases we don't. You still want to do things. You want to entertain yourself. You want to entertain your family. You want to do all these kind of things. So like you're constantly on that rat wheel, bro. And you don't have the time to sit back and like look for these stories or just keep abreast of what's going on because there's a lot going on. And so I try to do that for you. Like, all right, let me look at some stuff. Let me see what's going on. I'm going through YouTube. I'm looking at mainstream media. I'm reading articles in the newspapers that are online now. I can't tell you the last time I had a real newspaper in my hand. Um, I'm looking at what CNN is talking about, what Fox is talking about, what MSNBC is talking about, and all the rest. I'm looking at what Al Jazeera is talking about, BBC, all that. Um, and I see some stories out there. Sometimes I'm looking at what's going on in science and stuff like that, even if I don't understand. Like Betelgeuse, all the scientists are waiting for this big star, Betelgeuse, to go supernova. I'm waiting for it too. To be honest with you, it'd be crazy. Betelgeuse is a little over 600 light years away, but there's scientists out there like still when it goes supernova, it might hurt us, it might do some damage. I'm looking at all that stuff, man. Then movies and cartoons and you name it. So when I see things that catch my eye, that's what I try to bring it on a platform, have a talk about it. Like yesterday, we were talking about um, you know, the world economy, and we were talking about finances, and we were talking about, what would happen if America defaulted on its debt, which is still the politicians are still playing games. They haven't come to a resolution yet. Still a big thing out there. Today we're going to be talking about the U.S. dollar, right? Because of that conversation about the debt and all that. We've been talking about the regional banks and how they're struggling. And hey, guys, here to tell you, the regional banks, they're not done collapsing. There's going to be some more collapses out there. Be ready. Be ready. You look at what's going on with the cost of money and stuff like that. And there's another, what's causing the regional banks to really have this big hiccup? It's commercial real estate. Commercial real estate's about to be turned up on its head. So there's so much going on. And I know with your regular life between getting to work, maintaining your household, getting food on the tables, getting the kids, to school and dealing with their lives. And there's so much going on. I'm hoping that this stuff that I put out is just planting the seed, and maybe it'll spark something in you like, oh, let me look into this. I know that Miss AKA lady yesterday was asking me about the homeowners insurance in Florida, because I've been talking a lot about that. It's like, hey, should I be prepared for an increase in my homeowners insurance? Yes, you should. I was just talking to my people today, and hopefully she'll be able to jump on the stream or like get into the chat, because she's a day one and she's always been supportive, and we're down here in Florida. But yeah, Miss AKA lady, I've been talking to my folks. Um, yeah, yeah. You can expect your your homeowner's insurance to go up. I was just talking about this is my people today. We're just talking about it. They're like, bro, I was watching your stream and I saw what you were talking about homeowners insurance down here in Florida. Yo, mine just went up $500 for the year. It just went up, and this was after the premium was already paid for the year. So they're trying to figure out, well, how does this work? Like, I I need to go take care of this. I need to make some calls. I need to find out what's going on because they jacked the rate up, but they did it after the premium was set out. So who's going to take care of what? I mean, and my same people was telling me like, hey, this isn't the first time. This has happened before down here in Florida. It was like, yeah, once I remember my premium, my homeowner's insurance almost tripled. So this is what's going on down here in Florida. So it's AKA lady, keep your eye on your premiums. They are going to go up. So I just want to throw that out there. And again, I know people are busy, and this is what we're trying to do on this platform, man. Just food for thought. Um, and we got brother Dinosaurs in the house. What's good, fam? Coming, checking in from the UK. Our brother from the other side of the pond, brother DL. Your cap logo looks like an ant wasp beaver. What is it? This is a hat. This is Valuetainment's. That's a lion. That's Valuetainment's logo. And this is their merch. This is one of their hats. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Valuetainment. I'm always reacting to some of their content. So I do my best to support them every single chance I get. So I'm like, let me put on a Valuetainment hat because we're going to be watching some more Valuetainment content and reacting to it today. And I'm always, shouting out my guys down there in Miami, Fresh and Fit, and Breaking Points. They're in DC. Crystal and Sager. I'm always talking about them. So I'm trying to find ways like, okay, maybe I'll be like one of their premium subscribers or something. I want to do something so I can support them and show my support as best I can. And then, and I'm also when I, react to their content, I like to throw that out there. So this is a Valuetainment hat. This is supposed to be a lion. They have a lot of merch down there, actually, man. Valuetainment has sweaters and t-shirts and regular shirts and hoodies and all sorts of stuff. They have lapel pins. Shout out to Patrick Beck David and the whole clan down there. We got brother Cars in the house. What's good, fam? Show us the dollar where you were touched. Yeah, show us on the dollar where you were touched. Oh, bro. Hey, man, look, it's man, it's getting crazy out here, man. That's so funny though, bro. It's getting crazy. Yeah, it's supposed to be a line. And I'm actually looking at hopefully by the end of the summer, I'll have some merch. I want to get to my original goal was to get to 5,000 subscribers before I start, doing merchandising and then looking at other ways to monetize. I might adjust that. I might do it sooner than 5,000, but we'll see. I'm going to be out here performing. I'm going to be getting back on stage, and you guys know I'm going to be vlogging. You're going to see me on Instagram. You might even see me on Facebook. Again, like you set your objectives, you set your goals, and then once you get into, once you make contact, you have to adjust those objectives and goals because, mission first. So I might make some adjustments. I might start streaming on Facebook. I might start streaming on Twitter, and also on Instagram, and just kind of really ramping up the social media side of things to try to get more subscribers. So we're gonna see. We're gonna keep pushing, doing what we do. We're gonna keep pushing, guys, and just keep getting this information out there, man, and just challenging people to put things. You know how we get down. Put it through the old
think tank, Arch. Nothing gets past the old think tank. Nothing.
Let's get people to use the old think tank, man, because we're gonna have to. Things are getting rough. It's gonna be a rough 18 months or so. It's gonna be a rough 18 months to 2 years coming up. This is going to be tough. It may be worse in 2008. There's a lot of people who are making that statement. Hey, it's definitely gonna be rough. It's not gonna be a cakewalk. So people are gonna have to use the old brain and think this stuff through and network and try to figure out what's going to be the best move on the playing board, on the chessboard for them and their families. And that's what we're trying to do, man. Just get people to think. Brother Dino, consider your phase as the logo with the beard. Word? Do like an animated version? Okay. Hey, thanks, man. That's a good idea. I will think about that. And I got some people who are pretty good artists, man. I'm going to think about that, bro. Huh. All right. That's cool. Thanks. I'm gonna get that a shot, bro. Because I definitely have a couple ideas when we talk about logos for I really want to know, and and eventually, eventually what I want to do is split downrange and I really want to know and just have two separate entities. That's what I really want to do eventually, where it's just nothing but politics on downrange, and then I really want to know is everything else. I'm still trying to put together that show where we talk about personal submarines. People have submersibles. I want to get it. I want to do that show. Just the economy kind of changed that market up a little bit, but I still want to get down there and do it. Maybe that'll be one of the first interviews we put together in the field. I plan to go out and do a lot of that, like just kind of talking to folks out there in no man's land, talking to people and seeing what's going on. Maybe that'll be one of the first episodes that we do that. But I like that suggestion, bro. I definitely like that suggestion. And Brother Dino's like, yeah, and the Saint logo above your head. Okay, because I like the Saint logo. That's actually Michael the Archangel. So I like that. So that's what I was thinking. But I don't know, bro. We're gonna, maybe we'll not maybe we will make that interactive with, especially with my day ones. When I come up with ideas, I'm gonna run it by y'all before we go to print or press or whatever. I'm definitely gonna do that. Get y'all input. Of course, I withhold the right to veto, like to override. But no, man, I really appreciate that, bro. I really appreciate that. So, man, let's get into this thing about the dollar, man. So, will the U.S. dollar survive? Right, and I guess the answer to that, the long term answer to that, is probably no. And when we say survive, like, will it survive as the global currency? Um, No, I don't think it will. No other currencies have, right? There was the pound. Once upon a time it was a pound. You keep going back, like the Romans ruled the world. It was their currency. When Britain ruled the world, it was their currency. We rule the world now, so it's our currency. Eventually, there's going to be a change. Is it going to happen tomorrow? Nah, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take some time. But are there people out there looking to knock the US dollar off its pedestal and look for look for other options, I guess, as a global currency? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're the top dog, there's always gonna be people out there want to knock you down and take over that spot. Well, tons of reasons why. We talked about it yesterday when we were talking about just the interest alone, because America is considered, the US dollar is considered solid, better than anything. The interest is low because of that. If someone were to knock us off, let's say Germany was able to do it, and the franc, the Deutschmark became the global currency, then they would get that low interest rate by saving. That saves the German people a bunch of money. Like it says, it saves Americans. What were they saying? Like 50 billion a year, up to 700. I mean, 50 billion, and like up to 750 billion over 10 years or something like that. I forget. You got to watch yesterday's episode. We were reading that, but yeah, why wouldn't someone else want to be the top dog and get those benefits and all that, right? So, the dollar is the global reserve currency right now. The petrodollar, especially, because we have, these alliances worked out with our alleged allies, talking about Saudi Arabia and the rest of them. I've never been a fan of the Saudis, especially when they send us over there for the war. Never been a fan of the Saudis, probably never will. It is what it is. Politics is politics. I was a soldier and I was following the orders. But I ain't gonna lie to you. When I was over there doing Desert Storm, it only took me 6 months to realize, yeah, we fighting the wrong people. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Saddam Hussein, I ain't saying he was right, but I understand. Kuwait owed him some money. He went to go get it. He had no idea America was gonna come to the rescue. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But like I said, I understand. I get it. But yeah, China is doing everything they can to knock America off the pedestal as far as the global, reserve currency. Russia, I'm pretty sure that other, the BRICS. I mean, there's so much going on out there right now. It is what it is. I don't take it personal. I mean, they want to knock the top dog off the hill. So I was watching what I'm always watching, right? It's either going to be PBD or it's going to be Breaking Points, right? I saw something a couple of weeks ago on Breaking Points, and I think this this would be a good place to start with this conversation. I really believe that long term, yeah, America has some stuff to consider. You know what I mean? I think the dollar will get knocked off its pedestal, but short term, I don't think it's happening today. But you look at what our politicians are doing, you know what I mean? They're just adding fuel to the fire for those who want to knock the dollar down. They're like, look, why should we tie ourselves to American politics? Them Americans are crazy. Why are we risking our financial, security on a currency that could blow up at any time because the Americans are dumb and they're blowing up their own currency, right? So I get that point. We're not helping ourselves, right? But let's watch this. Sagar and Crystal were talking about the petrodollar collapsing. And this is like with a new Chinese deal. And again, China's out there talking to our allies, trying to do what they can to get on. So let's check this out, guys. Let me find it. Here we go.
He's actually not wrong. Let's go ahead and put this up. China and Russia are currently looking to challenge the petrodollar. It's a very interesting write-up over from oil price. What they point to right now is that currently the yuan accounts for just 2.7% of the global oil market. However, a lot of the more recent deals in recent weeks are signaling that the Chinese and the Russians are moving to try and sideline the dollar, not only from Brazil, as he said, which is the largest nation in all of South America, but actually, during that visit to Riyadh, Xi Jinping in December said that the China and the Arab Gulf states are going to be trying to use Shanghai Petroleum and Natural Gas Exchange platforms to carry out yuan settlement on oil and gas trades. So a separate infrastructure is propping up through which to replace the petrodollar, specifically to try and circumvent U.S. sanctions. Right now, 58% of global currency reserves are the US dollar from 2022. Only 2.7% of that, like I said, remains in the Chinese yuan. But I mean, even a 10% increase in that is a massive sea change to the global reserve currency.
Yeah.
But drop even the global reserve currency and all of that rhetoric. Why does it matter? Because let's put this up there. And this is straight from Chinese media, from the South China Morning Post. I thought it was important to actually pull the perspective that they are trying to push out there, which is that the Brazilian inroads and de-dollarization is, quote, reflecting cracks in U.S. currency settlements. Here's really what happened, and this is why I was a huge critic also of what was going on in the initial days of sanctioning.
Right.
We basically blew up the global financial trade system for a country, Russia, and for another country, Ukraine, which at the end of the day, the material fate of those two countries, especially Ukraine, has zero impact on the U.S. economy and on the U.S. way of life. I know there's going to have a lot of Ukrainian.
I mean, Sagar's right. And I like the way he breaks things down. Like, on this show, he's pretty much, center right, and Crystal's supposed to be center left. But mainstream media has them both painted, right. like both of them, they're supposed to be right wing, even though, Crystal was all over RFK when he came on for an interview. And it is what it is. But he's right. So what's China? China is going to all these third world nations and all these nations that America has overlooked, and some may say even neglect. That's where China is going. China is going, and they're coming into these places like Brazil, other countries, like tons of countries in Africa, and they're like, we'll come in here and help you with your infrastructure. What do you need? You need railways. We'll build all your railways. It's just, and then when we do that, we're gonna own the land that we build it on. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna give you guys money. And they're like, oh, we like China, because they don't care. They're looking at the short term. They're not looking at the long term. They're not looking at it as some sort of invasion, but it really is. Like, the Chinese believe in total war. They can get it done with an AK, or they can get it done with diplomats. They can come in with money and just buy up everything. And they just make it to where you're totally reliant upon Chinese engineers, Chinese infrastructure, Chinese tech to run your country. And if that's the case, they got you. America does the same thing. I mean, we come in, we do our things like, yeah, this is us. We plant our flag. This is how we get down. This is what we taking out of this deal. It's just America overlooks a lot of these third world nations where China's coming in and taking them up. And a lot of these places that China's are going into, the Chinese are going into places that are mineral rich. They know what they're doing. It's a plan. It's a plan. It's a brilliant plan. I ain't mad at them. Right? If you want to know how the Chinese move, just read Sun Tzu, The Art of War. That's how they move. They believe in it. America man, we be on something else. But let's continue. Let's listen to what Sagar has to say.
In NAFO stands in the comments, but here's the deal. Whoever controls Kyiv, that doesn't affect anybody's life in Nebraska. However, there are a lot of other countries and potential conflicts where that is not the case. And so one of the things that I was trying to say then is you only get one shot at this, at showing your hand. You know, whenever you're the empire and you like pull the ripcord on your real, like most financial power that you have, you better do it on something that really matters. You decided to do that on Ukraine. Well, the Chinese, the second largest economy on earth, far more powerful ever than the USSR, they saw all of that in Beijing and they're like, okay, that's just never going to ever happen to us. And they're not fools. So what do? Immediately, they started doing yuan deals with Russia. They go to India as well. India, then one of the largest nations outside of China, says, well, we still want cheap oil. And so they decide to start pricing things in different currency when buying from the Russians. The Brazilians, who are not on board with us at all. Yeah. And how many times, Crystal, have we pointed to global public opinion that says that the rest of the world does not agree with us on Ukraine? They don't agree with Russia either, but they definitely don't agree with the NATO-centric view of the conflict, that this is some existential threat to their interests. They don't really care either way. They're like, yeah, I'm not saying it's good, but, you know, like cheap oil is nice because that's what we...
And he has a great point there. So people don't understand how tough it is. Geopolitics ain't no joke, man. You got to take all this stuff into consideration. A lot of people don't want to think of all of the other effects that go on with this, but China does. There are Americans who think this stuff through, but depending on who the administration is that's in the White House, those people aren't listened to. Those people go away or told or sent away, and it hurts us every single time. Like, I'm not trying to pick on any one particular administration over another, but they all mess it up. Some are worse than others. You know, you look at someone like Obama goes into China and have boots on the ground because they know, like, hey man, some sort of pandemic is probably going to come out of this country because they're running loose with their these experiments and weaponizing germs and whatnot. We need to keep our eye on this sort of thing. Then you get an administration that comes in there and they pull all those people out. Then what happens? A major pandemic hits the world and we don't know anything about it. And those guys were there. Same thing happened in the Middle East. Right? Same thing happened in the Middle East. 9/11, all that stuff was built up. All those people were doing all those things that they were doing under the Clinton administration. And there were people screaming from every high hill in Washington to say, hey, man, we need to be watching these people. Hey, man, these people are intent to hurt us. The CIA, all of the spooks, like all of our guys, they knew this is a problem. We need to watch these guys, man, trying to do something. They trying to they hit the World Trade Center once. They trying to do it again. No one would listen to them. New administration comes in, they're trying to get everything together, get their bearings straight or whatever. Maybe they're listening, maybe they're not listening. Boom, we get 9/11. This is how it works. This is how it works. So we have this, team red, team blue, and no one's really taking care of business in between. Like there's no continuity going on. Information is getting lost and all that. China is betting on that. Look, the Americans don't know what they're doing. They're in disarray. Work with us. And they're, like I said, they're going to start at the bottom with the countries no one really wants to deal with, and they're going to start working their way up. Slowly but surely, working their way up. That's what they're going to do, and they're going to continue to do that. So, yeah, people are going to want to knock the U.S. dollar off the pedestal, and replace it with their currency. If China could put the yuan and make that the world global reserve, they would love to do that. Is that going to happen? Nah. And if it's going to happen, it's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. Brother Mandrell's in the house, man. My favorite Green Beret. What's good, bro? How you feeling, bro? Always a pleasure to see you. So, yeah, I mean, that's the short answer is, yeah, there's people that want to come after us. And that's an example of how some countries are attacking the petrodollar. All right. So there is another video I want to put up here and talk about a little bit. And this again was from the same video we were watching yesterday. This is from PBD podcast. Joy Gammon was on, and they were talking about some good stuff. And they got into, okay, could the US dollar be replaced as a global currency, reserve currency? And man, he has some really good comments. And I agree with, 98% of what he's saying. And it makes complete sense. and I think it'll make sense to you guys too. So let me pull that up so we can check it out. It's, when a lot of people don't like talking about this, but I'm telling you guys, like, this is the kind of stuff that we need to be thinking on. Like, not just, do it all in one sitting, but just have it in the back of your mind, kind of look at it every couple months, because this is going to filter down and affect us at some point. And if you don't have a plan, right, it's going to hurt that much more. So let's listen to what George Gammy was talking. I think that Adam Sosnick asked him a question, should we fear I think something along the lines of, should we fear the US dollar being replaced as the global currency? Let's check this out.
A good point. We kind of skipped over it a little bit, but if the US dollar is no longer the world's reserve currency, what's next? Like, we're seeing what happened with BRIC or BRICS, to preclude South Africa from that. What would happen with that?
Don't open that can of worms, because we've been talking about this de-dollarization theory on our channel for months now. And it is true that the world is becoming de-dollarized. Yes, kind of. There's more trade happening in non-dollar denominated currencies. So you're getting oil deals done in renminbi or Chinese renminbi or stuff like that.
Chinese yuan.
Or whatever, or Russian ruble or whatever you want to call it. But ultimately, that Chinese yuan is still pegged to the US dollar. Now, is de-dollarization happening? It's a process that will take many years.
Yeah.
But what is the alternative? So, okay, cool. We all decided we don't want to be part of the US dollar. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to China? You think China's a better option than the United States? Look, maybe the US isn't perfect, but let me tell you, China's not much of a better option. I don't think you want to be in the South African currency. It hasn't got a great track record. You certainly don't want to be in the Turkish lira. So where do you want to be in the Russian currency? So the problem is that the dollar right now is the best of a bad bunch. And in order for de-dollarization to happen, what you need for there to be a better option. Because otherwise, as capitalists, people will hold on to their money and say, even though this is bad, that option over there is a little bit worse.
It's still government counterparty risk.
And so these are the guys who sit around. These are the finance dudes. These are the dudes who look at the data. They look at the charts, the graphs, and all that. They look at the balance sheets. They go through the data. So especially someone like a George Gammy, and they're making good points, bro. Like, all right, you get rid of the dollar, what's going to replace it? The dollar is bad. America is bad, but America's still better than all these other options. So what are you going to do? Right, and that's the one thing that's going to keep us around as a global currency, global reserve currency for a while, because there's just no one there that can replace us. And George Gammy kind of got into that here in a second. So let's check that out. Oh, and in the chat, I just posted the YouTube links to the two videos that we're looking at now. Yeah.
Now look, we've taken the orange pill. So for us, we see Bitcoin and we look at Bitcoin and say, look, you need to have a certain percentage of a portfolio in a neutral money that's not linked to any country, that's linked to an algorithm and a mathematical formula. But other than that, and again, I put the question to you guys and said, if there is de-dollarization and you guys are forced to de-dollarize, where are you going to put your money?
Yeah. But the
answer is you're going to rather be in US dollars.
Yeah, when you go back, and I agree, by the way, and I think that we are definitely in the process of de-dollarization. That's without question. And the dollar is absolutely losing its reserve currency status. But that doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen over years. That happens over decades. And if you go back to the last world reserve currency, the British pound, that started losing its dominance in the 1920s. When they came in 1944 in Bretton Woods, that was just kind of the icing on the cake, right? And so what you see is you never have a global reserve currency that is implemented by decree, that you have a king or a Putin or whatever come in and say, from now on, we are using this BRICS new currency. What happens, it's always bottoms up. So those entities within that economic system say, hey, we want to do more business with the United States, going back to the 1920s, right? Because the US is growing and growing and growing. We have more business, we have more customers there. So we want to hold more dollars on our balance sheet. And as the US economy grows as a percentage of global GDP, so does the use of the dollar. And that's how it happens. So the BRICS or Chinese yuan or whatever, yes, over the long run, it will overtake the dollar, but it'll only do so as that economy overtakes the United States economy as far as a percentage of global GDP.
So I saw a chart.
And that makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a ton of sense. Right? People are going to want to bet on the government or the currency of the government that's growing and is the most stable. That's why they wind up, with dollars right now, because, especially after World War II, we were the last government standing. Really, it wasn't jacked up. Everybody else was jacked up and had to dig themselves out of holes. Literally, they were blown into. We're talking about Japan. We're talking about Germany. We're talking about Italy. All of Europe was decimated. Russia was decimated. China was decimated. Japan was decimated. Australia, no. New Zealand, no. And America, South and Central America, no. But again, America was, of all the people left standing, America was the biggest, and the wealthiest, and they were growing, and we had the money. We had the manpower. We had the money. So, all right, we're going to back everything with the dollar. And remember, the dollar was backed by gold back then. So, yeah, that's why people were rocking with the U.S. dollar. That's how it became the global, currency. It's the global reserve currency. But like Brother George Gammon was saying, yeah, it's just a matter of time before another currency takes its place. And like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take decades. So we got time. I got time to figure it out. And remember, y'all heard it here first. You know what I mean? So this is why we have this platform. So we just plant these seeds so you can kind of think about it. And then maybe a year from now, you'll read an article somewhere that talks about this. You're like, you know what? That's right. They were talking about that on Downrange Podcast. That's right. PBD, that guy, George Gammon, was talking about it back then. Right? You're already kind of ready to have that conversation. You know what I mean? So let's continue.
Of GDP of the G7 versus GDP of BRICS. And if you look at the GDP of the G7, it's a chart that goes like this. And if you look at the GDP of BRICS, it's a chart that's going like this.
Yeah, but, the trend is there, but still, as a percentage, it still heavily favors the G7.
So I don't know if you've got that chart. It was a tweet by Gabor Gurbax.
And then they went in, they looked at the chart. Eventually, they pulled the chart up. And what he's basically saying is like, just look at the BRICS. The BRICS is on the way down. You look at the G7, basically the petrodollar and all that. And it's on the BRICS is on its way up and the dollar's on its way down, and they've already converged. And they were saying a whole bunch of stuff. But right now, today, America is still there. There's no one close. There's no one close. Will BRICS be the next thing? Maybe. I know I'm researching it now because of this episode and a couple other episodes. I've been hearing BRICS. I'm like, oh, let me look into this. Right, I'm starting to look into it, and I'll share with you guys what I find probably over the next couple months. But I'm not worried about the dollar collapsing right now. I'm not worried about the dollar losing its status as the global reserve currency right now. I'm not worried about it. I don't think it's going to happen. But I think what we do need to be thinking about and what can happen is going to be inflation, and really what's going to be the death knell to the Western way of doing business and the Western financial system is hyperinflation. It's hyperinflation that hurts. And that's what we need to be worried about. So I found another video, Endeavor YouTube channel. They have like 689,000 subscribers, and they were talking about the 5 top worst cases of hyperinflation in history. And I just wanted, like, the intro is what I want to share with you guys. I want to check out this show when they talk about what hyperinflation is. Which is, let's check this out, man. And this is these are the kind of shows that I really like. It just kind of shows you where I am. I think the shows that get the most views are the ones that talk about relationships and all that kind of stuff, man. The sexy stuff, which it is what it is. That manosphere RP stuff gets a lot of views. It creates a lot of chatter. We're gonna have that show tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking about the state of the manosphere again, like what's up with the manosphere, what's going on. What is the future of RP content? We're gonna have that conversation tomorrow. But today we're talking about this is part 2, basically, of the financial talk. And we're going to talk about inflation versus hyperinflation. So let's check this out, guys. It's be pretty cool.
Imagine you go to the supermarket and a loaf of bread costs $200 billion. Unbelievable, but actually real. At least when your country has been hit by hyperinflation. But what leads to this catastrophic phenomenon? And which countries experienced the worst hyperinflation in history? Let's take a look. Inflation is the rate that shows how much the price for goods and services rise. A low inflation rate is the norm in most countries around the world. The US inflation rate, for example, in 2019 was 2.3%. In the Eurozone, 1.3%. The American economist Philip Kagan was the first to classify hyperinflation. He stated that the phenomenon happens when a country's inflation rate exceeds 50% per month. There are different reasons this happens. Even though each case is unique, there are common patterns. For example, in most cases, the economy is already weak and there is a shock caused by war, international isolation, or natural disasters. The road to hyperinflation usually comes after a chain of events, and it usually happens as follows. Tax revenues are drastically reduced. The reason can be external factors like war, a sudden change in commodities prices, or country-specific reasons like political transition, bad monetary policies, and even corruption. The government starts printing money. The supply of money pushes inflation up. The rise impacts government revenues. The country experiences a period of high inflation, affecting the government's budget and confidence in its institutions. The government then prints more money and resorts to measures that fail to control inflation. The inflation rate accelerates. The currency value collapses.
Now, all that stuff, man, we've seen a lot of that, right? We've seen a lot of this. So this is what I would worry about before I worry about the US dollar collapsing. It's inflation, and like I said, it's hyperinflation that's the problem. This is why Jerome Powell is going crazy on raising interest rates. They keep saying they want to keep inflation under control. This is why, right? And then they talk about, when you hear that term, black swan event, this and that, it could be a war, it could be whatever. That's what they're talking about. And we've had plenty. We're going to have plenty more. Tax revenue reductions, right? Well, we got a party here. We got the Republicans. They always want to lower taxes, lower taxes, lower taxes, lower taxes. They keep doing that. And basically, who gets the tax break? The people at the top. The people who that's like the majority of the money that goes into the government. They're getting to keep more money, right? The people people at the bottom don't care because they don't pay taxes anyway. So the people in the middle get squeezed. But tax revenue reduction. We got that in America. We always have that in America, right? The government prints more money, right? So we had the pandemic. They tell people not to go to work. STEMI money. They start printing money like crazy. They start giving money, PPP loans and all this other kind of stuff. Again, people at the top got over. People at the bottom going to jail. People in the middle didn't get nothing, and they're getting crushed anyway. Inflation rises. So we know inflation's been going up, and inflation they're with all these, percentage rates coming from the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell, inflation is still going up. Still going up. Right? So, and like you said, it has a further impact on revenues and all that, right? The period of high inflation, we haven't hit that yet. So we're still fighting. If we hit that period of high inflation, that's just one step closer to the end, because the closer we get to hyperinflation, the worse the US dollar is here in America. So all this stuff is coming, right? It's all coming to pass. It's all coming to pass. So, and that final death blow is the currency value collapse. So once that happens and it's over, that's when you get stories of people taking money and they're just using it as wallpaper because the money is basically useless. Miss AKA ladies in the house, what's good, love? How you feeling? Good to see you. I was talking about you at the very top of the show. I was talking to my folks. Yeah, there are people are telling me that their homeowner insurance is going up. I was talking to one of my people today, and they were like, "Yeah, it went up by $500 for the year." Like we just had a conversation today, and I thought of you immediately, and I'm like, "Oh, hopefully you jump on, and I could tell you." So yeah, keep your eye on your homeowner's insurance because my people were telling me like they had already received their premiums for the year, paid them, and then they got this $500 adjustment or whatever that was added on. and they're trying to figure out how that, like, okay, what does this mean? Was it already paid, or do I need to pay it now? Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. So I hope all is well, girl. I hope, hope it ain't too bad. But $500, and the person I was talking to, their place isn't that big. I'm thinking about the folks who have like these bigger homes. You could be looking at your premium doubling for the year. Could you imagine that? You have to pay twice as much insurance for your home. And I heard some stories too. Some people were telling me how their insurance companies going out of business, they're closing up shop. So there's still that. You still got, and companies that are saying, hey, we're no longer, doing business in Florida. They can't afford it or whatever. And that forces people to go seek this insurance for wherever they're going to get it from. It's crazy. But, back to this hyperinflation, this is what I worry about more than, the dollar not being a global reserve currency. Because this a hurt. And they talk about some issues in this particular video of the effect that has on prices and all that. So let's continue.
Country experiences hyperinflation. Before the First World War, cases of hyperinflation were rare. Prices rose during the French Revolution and American Civil War, but hyperinflation is mostly a modern phenomenon. The following ranking was created by economists Steve Hanke and Nicholas Cruz. So here we go. Let's see which countries produced the 5 worst cases of hyperinflation in the last 100 years.
And we won't get into it. I know Germany was one of those countries. It's a few countries that have that issue. There's one last video I definitely want to check out. That's talking about what's going on right now with hyperinflation in a country that's going on right now today, and how hyperinflation has affected this nation. So I'm definitely gonna show that. Miss AKA Lady is saying no increases yet, but a couple of my people have seen increases. It's gonna be tough after a while. It's definitely gonna be tough. And she continues, when I bought my home, I committed to paying an additional $150 a month to buffer from escrow changes. Hopefully that saves me. Hopefully so. But most people aren't as good with money as you are, love. So I think most people are just going to find themselves in a very tough situation where they're probably going to have to go out and find more money. They'll probably go out and work more or make drastic cuts. So, within their home budgets and stuff like that. It's going to be crazy. I guess the upside to that is in Florida, there's plenty of work available in Florida. I mean, every place around me right now, from restaurants to grocery stores to pharmacies to you name it, they all have help wanted signs in the windows. You could work tomorrow. I saw some. It was a restaurant, one of those drive-through restaurant burger places. I forget the name of the restaurant, but they had a program like you work today, you get paid today. They had that. I'm like, what? I mean, it just shows you how bad it is in Florida. I mean, they just need people to come down here and work. I don't understand what people are doing for money. I guess, maybe OF is booming. Maybe they're out here killing the YouTube game. I don't know. But so there's a country right now dealing with 109% inflation. I'm talking about Argentina right now today. So I want to show you guys this, and then, we'll wrap this up. But it's happening. It's happening. The people are like, oh, man, you bring this stuff up, man. That stuff ain't going to happen. It's happening right now. 109% inflation. Can you dig it? Right? Like, can you dig it? So I want you guys to check this out. Let me pull this up. Okay, here we go.
Hi, welcome back to Joe Blogs. In today's episode, I want to provide you with an update as to what's happening in Argentina. As I'm sure you'll be aware if you follow the channel, inflation passed 100% in February 2023, and the latest figures reveal that it's now hit a new high of 109%. Which means that over the course of the last 12 months, prices have more than doubled, and these runaway prices are causing a major crisis in the country. Now, in order to try to address its problems, in 2022, Argentina agreed a $44 billion bailout facility with the IMF. However, as with all IMF facilities, the government of Argentina now have to implement a variety of changes. And one of the key areas that the IMF have identified is interest rates. And interest rates in Argentina have now risen to 97%. And just
Did y'all hear that, bro? 97% interest. That means for every dollar you borrow, you have to pay back 97 cents. 97% interest. Well, that means you have no economy. You're not getting any money unless the people already have money. That is insane. That's going on right now in Argentina. Wonderful 34s in the house. What's good? What's good, fam? How you doing? Thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate you passing through, man. We're just talking about hyperinflation. Let's continue.
Just to be crystal clear, I didn't say 9.7%. I said 97%. And just to make things a whole lot more exciting, there is an upcoming presidential election in October 2023, and the current president has now announced that he has no intention of running for office. So he's basically walking away from the situation. His second in command, who was recently arrested on fraud charges, has also announced that she has no intention to run for office. And
so think about that. You got the elites in office, you know, you got the president, the vice president, and you best believe they're all wealthy. The president's like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I'm basically quitting. The vice president, she's like, I'm not going to run either. I don't want nothing to do with it. And here's the thing, like, she's under investigation for corruption. Someone took a shot at her, bro. There was an assassination attempt on her. This was last year. So it just lets you know what type of people they are. They're paid. She's very corrupt, and people have proven it, but she's still in power. They say she has more power than her boss, the president, and he doesn't want anything to do with it. So the elites have messed it up, like, the 1% or, the system or the matrix, whatever you want to call it. Look what they did to Argentina. They ran it into the ground, and guess what? Ain't none of these people hurting for money. They cool with it. But the regular folks who are out there working and dealing with this, did they see it coming? If so, did they have a plan? And this is why I love YouTube. Ms. AKA lady, you're right, love. What's the purpose of even trying to hustle at 97% interest? Right? At 97%. What's the point? You're right. And that's there's no economy. If there's no credit, there's no economy. Period. If you can't borrow money to start businesses, you can't borrow money to keep your businesses running, to grow your businesses. You can't borrow money. That's it. You don't have a business. You don't have a business. Vita in DC, how you doing? Hi, my first time here. I think the cost of my groceries have doubled since March of 2020 when the pandemic and lockdowns began. Yes, they have. I know mine have. And, I was in LA when all that started, and I moved to Florida. And I've been in Florida for a couple of years, man, a little over a couple of years. And I'm noticing it now when I, go to the grocery stores. I'm like, yo, man, I'm paying more money. I'm paying like 25, maybe 35, 40% more for certain things. I have to really pay attention to what I'm buying. It's like no more just buying the stuff and go. Now I'm actually looking at how much stuff costs. I'm looking at the cost of fruit. I'm looking at the cost of vegetables. I'm looking at the cost of ice cream. I was talking about, I was ranting about that the other day. Half a gallon of ice cream for the name brand stuff is like almost $10. Like $7.86 or something like that. Right? For ice cream. Now I had to get the off-brand stuff. So Vita, welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. But you're right. And Miss AKA lady was telling us about the cost of fruits and vegetables. She's been talking about that over a year now. We watch the prices go up here. It's like crazy. And let's not even talk about gas. I came from LA, so I was used to paying a lot for gas. But out here, people in Florida ain't used to it. Gas has gone crazy high. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, let's continue with the video.
And the leader of the opposition party and the former president has also confirmed that he doesn't want the job. So not only is the country in an economic crisis, it's also now facing a political crisis. So in today's episode, we'll have a look at exactly what's happening with inflation, We'll look at interest rates and see how Argentina compares to interest rates for all of the other countries in the world. We'll talk about the Argentine peso, because as inflation has been going up, the value of the peso has been crashing. We'll talk about the IMF bailout facility. We'll have a look at what the impact of runaway prices is having on the people of Argentina. We'll talk about the government situation and the presidential election. And then finally today, I'll wrap up with my summary as to what I think is likely to happen in the country over the course of the next 3 to 6 months.
Like, Argentina is in trouble. And that's not the only country. They're in trouble. So, and this is one of the things that when I talk to, the 1%ers, when I talk to real wealthy folks, you talk to people like George Gammon. I haven't talked to him live in person yet. I will. I definitely will catch up with him at some point. If it means, I love Colombia and he's in Medellin. So, definitely next time I'm in Colombia, I'm going to hit him up. But, we have mutual friends. But guys like that, wealthy folks will tell you, invest your dollars into stuff that's valuable. I mean, he had a show when he was talking about, okay, yeah, you got all this money, so you got a bunch of dollars, go out and buy, expensive timepieces, right? Go out and buy yourself a bunch of Rolexes, a bunch of Omegas, Breitlings, IWCs, whatever. So if you go out, the value of those things, that stuff, will hold up better than certain currencies, right? So a Rolex, you buy a Rolex in America for X, you go to wherever you go to sell that thing, it's still gonna cost X, right? It doesn't matter what the currency is. So if it's, if it's $100 and you go to Colombia, right, it's still going to be the equivalent to $100, which might be 5,000 pesos. I'm just making numbers up, guys, but you know what I mean? But you see what I mean? Like, so when you take that, and it's easy to carry, like it's hard to carry a bunch of gold bars everywhere. They're heavy. First of all, they're big, they're bulky. You got a bunch of watches, man, throw them in the bag with you. It's on your back, in a backpack. You could have, in theory, millions of dollars of watches in your backpack, bro. Couple RMs, couple, nice Rolexes, couple Omegas. Easy. You could easily have $500,000 to $1.5 million in jewelry and watches in your bag. No problem. And you go to the next country, that's collateral. If you want to go, get yourself a loan or just sell those things, you got money. You got money in whatever dominant form of currency there is. So you're like, you know what? The dollar fell off. Let me go get some. I'm gonna get me, let me get $100,000 worth of, British pounds, or, German marks or euro or whatever. So that's how they move. They're like, man, you got this stuff, because they got a plan. It's like, hey, man, you might have to pick up. What if we wake up and the country collapses? You got to be able to pick up and still have some sort of wealth with you. So they do that. Same thing with jewelry. They do it with fine art. It's just, you have to have your money diversified. You have to have more than just US dollars or whatever. People say, you can do the same thing with crypto. Yeah. Even though it's volatile, but yeah, you could. You know what I mean? At least you can, you got that little thumb drive or whatever, and you can put that in your pocket and off you go, wherever. You can't pick up your house, right? Oh, my money's in the house. Well, you can't pick up the house and carry it to Canada, but you could grab all your watches and go to Canada. So this is what we're talking about. You need to plan the stuff out. Miss AKA lady is saying, like, yes, the cost of food is insane. I never paid attention to the cost more than I have now. I used to ball out. Now we looking to deal. Yeah, we're looking at deals, man. We're looking for deals out there. I'm the same way. Girl, look, I'm with you. And she continues, I found a dude on a truck. I told you, girl, there'll be some deals. He's charging $12 for a watermelon too. Word? I didn't know that. I bought one and saved the seeds. I'm about to get as many watermelon out of this $12 as I can. Yeah, grow them, girl. Grow them. You need somebody to sell them. Holler at your boy. I'll come pick them up and sell them. I got time. I'll sit there on the side of the road selling watermelons. Yeah, $12. Wow. They're not that expensive here. I'm going to go out and look tomorrow. I'm going to let you know what they're going for. I'm going to let you know. And Vita in DC, she's like, Trader Joe's has good prices on foods and especially premium ice cream. If you have one in your area, I think their fruits have good prices too. They do, but even Trader Joe's is kind of inching up. And the thing at Trader Joe's is they're having trouble getting their products here to Florida anyway, to Central Florida. Yeah, Trader Joe's, good prices, healthy food. They don't, the stuff that they have don't have as many preservatives and stuff like that. And like when I go to Trader Joe's, I make sure I use that. If I buy some ground beef or some chicken or whatever, I make sure I cook that stuff right away because they don't put a lot of preservatives in there. So it's actually better for you and your family. And the prices are good, but you don't have any brand names and stuff like that. And you're right about their ice cream. And girl, I ain't gonna lie to you, Trader Joe's has the best microwave mac and cheese on the planet. The one that the Trader Joe's Diner brand comes in the red packaging. That mac and cheese, that's all my daughter eats. She's mad at me now because I haven't gone to Trader Joe's and bought any. I did that on purpose because, she let her grade slip and she wasn't doing her work. So I'm like, I ain't gonna drive halfway across town to get you something when you ain't working for it. But she got her grades up, so I'm gonna have to go get some now. But Trader Joe's ice cream too. They got not to be, Trader Joe's ain't, a paid sponsor. I wish they were, but they have this dessert like frozen and like chocolate covered banana slices. I don't know if you got them. They are good. That's some good stuff. Trader Joe's has a lot of good products over there. Real talk. Definitely want to try that mac and cheese, girl. I am not lying to you. Look, I make really good mac and cheese. I ain't gonna lie to you. Whenever I make my mac and cheese, people like, yo, make this, make some more. Trader Joe's, I could like warm it up in the microwave and put it in a dish and serve it. They'll think it's mine. That's how good this mac and cheese is. And they got a gluten-free option. I mean, I never tried that. I'm not a gluten-free kind of guy, but yeah, check that out. I'm trying to tell you, girl, check that out. Don't slip on it. And Miss AKA lady, I'm gonna be over there in a couple weeks. If you got a fruit stand hookup, please let me know. There's a couple places near me that I will go to. There's a woman who sells her fruit out of her truck, out of her SUV or pickup, whichever one she drives, on one of the major roads here. And then like right around the corner from me, there's a spot where, a couple guys will set up every now and then when they had extra fruit, and they will sell like peaches and plums and watermelon and stuff like that. I'll keep my eyes open. Keep me posted. I'll keep my eyes open, and when exactly what days, and I can see if they're going to be there, and let you know, or I can get the stuff in advance for you. But I don't know what they're charging. I don't know what they are charging. But let's get back to the video. Let's check this out.
This chart shows the movement in the rate of inflation over the course of the last 12 months. And one thing to note here that this bar chart doesn't start at 0. The bottom of the axis on the right-hand side is 60%. So as you can see, this time last year, inflation was running at 61% in Argentina. However, over the course of the last 12 months, we have seen consistent rises in that rate. And the current rate for April 2023 is 108.8%. So you may be
108.8% inflation. They're not going to recover from that, y'all. 108.8% inflation in Argentina is wrap. And they're relying on money from the International Monetary Fund, from the IMF. But in order to get that money, they have to do certain things. And the things they have to do are definitely going to hurt the people of Argentina. We're going to jump to the end of that video here in a second. We're going to get to its conclusions. Because I put the link to the video in the chat so you guys can check it out. Definitely check this out at some point because he really goes over some really good points. He talks about inflation and just shows the different charts and interests and stuff like that. And he gets into like politically what they're talking about, the peso, and it talks about poverty. I'm gonna play that part because that's the part that we absolutely need to understand. That's the part we need to understand. So I'm gonna jump to that part, and then we're gonna close out. See, sister video. So, what do you think about several of the big box stores being distressed, i.e., Walmart, Target, and LOL, the Target's latest scandal? Yeah, and LOL on Target's latest scandal. So, there are a bunch of things going on with that, and I definitely plan on doing a show on these things. I was gonna do it this week. Because I've been watching that closely. Yo, it's scary, isn't it? It's scary. The situation in California where the government was basically telling law enforcement not to, pursue people who were shoplifting and they were stealing goods less than $5,000 or whatever, total less than $5,000 or whatever it was, right? So when people realize that, we can go into these stores and they're not, in California, and they're not going to stop us, people got together, organized gangs, and went in. And I'm just using gangs as a loose term, just an organized group of people. They get together. Hey, let's run in here. Y'all hit the electrics. We'll get the groceries. Y'all get the diapers. Y'all get, and they just run in there, grab the stuff, and run out. And I think that's kind of caught on around the country. The problem with that is losses. So Target, Walmart, you know what I mean? These bigger stores, these chains, they got to deal with the losses. The government is not going to eat those losses. The state of California is not going to compensate them for all of their losses, right? So when that happens, they're going to have to tighten up. They're going to have to come up with ways to combat this. And they probably sat down in a room with their executives and like, we're just going to close down these stores. And for the stores that we're going to open up, we're going to make it really difficult for people to come in and take stuff. So maybe they're going to take product, you know, maybe they're going to make you come in there and you have to pay for everything online with your phone or whatever, and they just bring the stuff out to you and put it in your car. But they're not going to have stores. And that's another cost too. You got to worry about your labor, and you got to worry about, you know, you have to worry about the cost of the store itself, the brick and mortar. And which brings us to the commercial real estate collapse that we're about to face. So Walmart, Target, all these stores, they're like, look, man, we're not making money. We got to deal with these losses. And, you know, we're paying all this money, and we know that all this debt is going to come due. So they're going to have to get into new leases or whatever, and they're going to have to pay more if they don't own the building. So they're probably thinking like, it's not worth it, man. Let's just close down. So I think that's going to hurt us long run. It's going to hurt people who need it the most. You know, food deserts and stuff like that. Anywhere near the hood, you're not going to have anything. They're going to shut down. It's not going to be a Walmart. And that's going to extend to grocery stores as well. I know in the Midwest, Kroger is shutting down a lot of their stores throughout the Midwest. So you got grocery stores shutting down, you know, those super Walmarts and super Targets, they have groceries there as well. They're going to be gone. This is going to be a problem. This is going to, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? But it's definitely going to be a problem. And I think Target's latest scandal is a loss prevention person. I think they shot someone trying to shoplift or something. Is that the one? It's going to be crazy. That's all I got to say. This is all just the beginning, guys. This is all just the beginning. So you're probably going to be forced to shop online. You're probably going to be forced to have people shop for you and bring the stuff to your house unless you live in like a really nice neighborhood. Right? So, man, I don't know. But let's get back to the video. There's one part of this video I want you guys to watch, and we're going to wrap this up. And it talks about the effects of hyperinflation on the people. So let's check this out.
An economic crisis worsening by the day. Argentina becoming unaffordable for essentially its whole population.
Yo veo mucha gente necesitada,
a lot of people in need, people in the streets, and a need for more jobs, said this man, as his country holds the unsettling place of second worst inflation in Latin America, only behind Venezuela. I have zero capacity to save. Compared to last year, what I could have saved dropped by 60 or 70%, said this woman, adding the inflation in Argentina feels like never before.
This airport in Argentina's capital is filled with homeless people. It's a snapshot of an economic crisis that's getting worse. The Buenos Aires Jorge Newbery Airport has become an unofficial shelter for people like Laura.
Hay muchísima gente. Entraron más ahora.
There's a lot of us sleeping here. In a few hours, there'll be more. If you come at night, it's full of people. We come here because it's cold out. Here, at least, we can sleep.
Roxana gets a government pension of about $200 a month. With an unexpected exchange rate, she often ends up with less. One local charity says the number of people without a roof over their heads has soared 30% since 2019.
If I pay rent, I don't eat. And if I pay for food, I'm on the street.
Argentina's annual inflation reached more than 100% in February. People have faced double-digit inflation for years, but this is the first time since 1991 it's been in triple digits. The frustration is growing. Earlier this week, protesters demanded a salary increase in line with the rising cost of living. Families say a government deal to restructure its $45 billion loan with the International Monetary Fund has yet to filter down and make a difference. Back at the airport, Argentinians like Elizabeth say they feel forced to leave.
I'm going to France. I found a job there. Here, the situation is difficult. My salary is not enough to pay rent. It doesn't matter how much they raise my salary. Inflation is too high.
She's among thousands of Argentinians who've decided to leave, hoping one day, if things get better, to fly to that same airport and get back home.
Yo, people look at stuff like this and they're like, well, you know, that'll never happen in America. You don't have homelessness like that in America. When people say stuff like that, I'm like, you ain't never been to LA. You have never been to San Francisco. You haven't been to San Diego. You must be out of your mind. Homelessness is like that right now on the West Coast. Right now. Like the rest of America, it's not that expensive to live, really, compared to LA. But like in LA, everything is hyper expensive already. They're losing it. They're losing it. So this can easily happen with the rest of America, and this is it's coming, guys. It's coming. Prepare yourself. It's definitely coming. And Sister Vita, she was like, nope. See, it looks like they sold satanic pedo clothes for kids. Wow. I'm gonna have to look into that. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. This is how we get down in America. That's crazy. Miss AKA lady, remember when Tupac gave the analogy about someone knocking on the door asking for help but getting ignored? When stressed people eventually start banging down the door, we are approaching door banging time. Yeah, it's coming. And you know, be careful what door you bang on, man, because the guy on the other side might be strapped. And I'm definitely gonna Google that, sis. I'm gonna check that out. We're at a point now in our system, man. We're at a point now in America where, you know, things are just really bad, and we're going into this recession. This could become a depression before it's all said and done. You know, will we recover? Yeah. America's resilient. And if we don't recover, you know what I mean? If America falls, the whole world falls. You see how it is in Argentina right now? It'll be like that everywhere else in the world, you know what I mean? Soup kitchens and all that kind of stuff. And the problem with that is when you have these type situations, when people suffer like that, this is when revolutions happen. This is when people take up arms. And, you know, this is why most governments don't want the people to have weapons because of stuff like this. So, you know, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, guys. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So hyperinflation is what I fear most. I'm not worried about the dollar losing this global, you know, reserve status. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about hyperinflation. I'm worried about the rest of America looking like LA, looking like Santa Monica. You know, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about it looking like downtown San Francisco. You know, the kind of lawlessness stuff that's going on. That's what I'm worried about. I don't want to deal with, you know, people trying to run into my house. I'm not, you know, home invasions are going to spike. Carjackings are going to spike. You know, just the regular muggings and all that. All that's going to go up. California right now, Texas too. Texas has a problem with this as well. There are people at the banks that just kind of wait. They hover at the banks. They wait till you go inside the bank. They have people inside the bank, and they're watching to see who gets cash, large cash withdrawals, and then they rob them. In LA, they rob you right on the spot. You don't even make it to your car. In Texas, they follow you until and you see if you're dumb enough to get out your car and like to go into a store or something to get some soda. Then they'll smash your windows and take your money. But if you don't stop, they'll just, you know, run up on you when you pull up at a light. Run up on you, pull out the heater and rob you. So it's already started, y'all. It's already begun. You got to be careful out here. You know, is this the end of everything we know? Nah, it's not the end. It's just, you know, people at the top, they're going to get richer. People at the bottom, they don't care. They're already broken. People in the middle, you know, it's going to be a big rift in the middle class. Either it's going to boil down to the have-nots and the have-yachts. You know, shout out to Andrew Tate. When he said that, I'm like, man, he's absolutely right. It's going to boil down to the have-nots and the have-yachts. So we're going to have to work hard to secure ourselves, to secure our families. So figure it out, people. That's all I'm saying. Figure it out. So I'm done. Sister Vita, thanks for coming through. And I'm assuming you're a sister. I'm assuming you're, you know, a lady. So I appreciate that. I'm definitely gonna look into it. I'm glad you're here. I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow we're gonna go rough and tumble, man. Tomorrow, bring your helmet and shoulder pads. We're gonna get into the red pill world. We're getting into the manosphere. We're gonna be talking about what's going on in the manosphere, what's going on with red pill content. It seems that people are how should we put this? People are leaving that world. People are unhappy with that world. So we're going to look into it. We're going to report, not report on it, but I'm going to give you my 2 cents in it. We're going to talk about, who's feuding with who and why and what's going on. I'm going to give y'all my take on, the manosphere and red pill world right now. And that's going to be tomorrow at 6 p.m. And that show is called What's Up with the RP World? Has the manosphere failed? That's tomorrow at 6 p.m. That's going to be a little more lively. We'll definitely have more people hanging out in the chat. Those are the shows that people love to get involved with, y'all. I ain't gonna lie to you. Those are the shows that people love. When we talk about relationships and all that, it says the video says, yes, I am. And thanks. No, thank you, love. I really appreciate you coming through. Miss AKA lady is saying that's why people who are flossing feverishly, they look so dumb to me nowadays. Good money management is the flex, right? It's true. But, most people want clout in America. People take clout over money any day, every day. That's what they want. And Miss AK is like, yay, more women. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, sis, if you come tomorrow, 6 p.m., bring your helmet and your shoulder pads because it's going to be full contact. We're going to make it happen. We're definitely going to be talking about what's going on with this manosphere stuff. And I'm gonna give you guys my full take on it. Most people who've been following me, they kind of know how I feel, but after tomorrow's show, you're gonna know exactly where I stand on that. There's some good in it. There's a lot of bad in it. There's some good people and there's a lot of bad people. There's a bunch of grifters. There's a lot going on with that space, and we're gonna talk about it. And I ain't mad at anybody who in that space. I get it. It's all about that bread, bro. At the end of the day, I ain't mad at nobody's hustle. So I hope y'all enjoyed that, man. That's it. That's what we're talking about with what's going on in America right now. Do we have to worry about the dollar collapsing? No, but I am worried about inflation, more to the point, hyperinflation. Hyperinflation can do more damage than the dollar collapsing. And it's already begun. It's already begun. Y'all saw that video, 97% interest in Argentina. 97% interest. For every dollar you borrow, you owe 97 cents. That is insane. That is insane. I was just mad at got mad at some people when they quoted me what did they quote me 7.8. They quoted me 7.8 and I'm looking at them like, what? Inflation, you know what I mean? Interest rates have to go up in order to battle inflation because we don't want to fight. We don't want to face hyperinflation, guys. Remember, hyperinflation is when inflation increases more than 50% or 50% or more in 1 month. We don't want to deal with that. So yeah, I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like it if you did. You know what I mean? Dislike it if you didn't. You know what I mean? And if it's something in there that you want to share with folks, please do. Y'all see, I've fallen off the bandwagon. I'm back to saying, you know what I mean too much. I got to work on that. Miss AKA lady, girl, come tomorrow with your armor on. It's quiet today. Yeah, bring your armor tomorrow. It's definitely quiet today. Bring your armor tomorrow. It's going to be a wow. So I appreciate y'all. I really do. Thank you so much for rocking out with me. Y'all know what time it is. I'm DL Saint. This is the Downrange Podcast, man. And I'll be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here. Hope to see you then. Peace. Take care, y'all.
Darn, that's the end.
Peace.